And down here at the bottom left-hand corner of Tal'Darim Altar, we have our pink Zerg player from the team Alternate Attacks. It is Delphi. And his opponent here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, from Dream Team Gaming, winner of the last game in style, it is Netty.
Yeah, no kidding. You and I were talking about that game during the break, and I'm kind of like, you know, when you're playing TVP, that type of thing always seems like a good idea at the time, but so often it works out really badly. But it's so cool when you see it work out, because you just feel like such a boss. You know, like running in and killing everything and then jumping in the medevacs and getting out. You feel like an action hero when that type of thing works out in TVP.
You say that, and I can't count the number of times that I've seen a tier player run in, do a ton of damage, lose their army, and then die to a counterattack.
Exactly.
But,
yeah, that's
but
that's
you know
what
what
usually happens. Yeah.
Netty though had a pretty significant lead built up to that point too, and I really do
think time to do it.
Yeah, he could have run in. He did. He already killed one Nexus, killed a lot of the gateways, and even if he had stood in there and engaged and killed some of the Protoss army, because of the amount he actually hampered him, I still think he would have been able to win that game. But he just decided to take it the next step and be a boss.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of bosses, look at how fast those overlords are now. I don't know. I know we're about a week out from the patch right now. It's been going for a little while, but they still seem really quick when I see them. It's like, is this on ×2 or something?
What they should have done is they should have kept the speed, not the same, they should have improved it, of course, but then made the animations of the Overlord like 6 times faster, so it looks like they're just flailing around as
like
they run their way
with their
across.
Tiny little hanging legs.
Exactly.
That'd be fun.
A missed trolling opportunity by Blizzard.
That's right. They need to add some sort of like swimming animation for the Overlords. They kind of swim through the air, like Michael Phelps style, sort of. That'd be cool, right? Maybe not.
I don't know. I'd like it.
Look at this. The Overlord's going to actually find his opponent right away.
Yeah.
Not bad at all. He's going to be able to get a little bit more information than he would have been if he would have scouted in the wrong direction.
That's right.
So here's the thing. In these positions a lot, Terran likes to kind of roll up below that natural expansion, siege up with their siege tanks, and try to take that out. It can be a really difficult thing for Zergs to deal with if they don't see it coming, if they're not able to prepare in time. So Delphi's going to definitely need to be very, very careful in that regard, but at the same time, as a Zerg player too, you've got a big open space to work with in the middle of the map. Yeah, your third is blocked by rocks, but in TVZ it's also quite common to stay on 2 bases for a long time too. So Delphi's in a pretty good spot as well. We'll have to kind of wait and see how the game progresses. But I don't know. This is one of my favorite maps to watch TVZ on.
Yeah,
actually.
You know, it's a map that's been around for a really long time, though.
Yeah.
And you know, after taking a look at some of the new GSTL maps as well, I've got to say that there's some that I'd consider throwing this out there. But I'm still very nostalgic about this map. I remember when it first started hitting the tournaments, and it was like, oh my God, it's enormous.
Yeah.
No one will ever utilize all of the bases here. And since then, it's produced consistently some of the most entertaining games in StarCraft 2. I do think it's on its way out of the tournament circuit, and I'll be sad when it goes, but it has been a very fun map for a long time.
Yeah, new GSTL maps look pretty cool, too. I'm just glad they're getting rid of dual site.
Oh, my God.
I'm happy about that.
You and the rest of the StarCraft community, so.
Yeah, exactly. It's I remember like Wolf and I talking to Mr. Che in Korea, and we were like, you have to get rid of dual site. It's such a rough map for Protoss players. And he's like, well, Protoss are playing too greedy on it. And we're like, well, yeah, but still, it's so that's we didn't get rid of it for a while. But it was kind of funny. I'm glad it's gone now, but it did produce some pretty entertaining games.
It's been in the GSL circuit for a year now, I believe.
Long time.
So.
Pretty long time, yeah.
Well, taking a look at things, Delphi, pretty predictable stuff now. This is Tal'Darim Altar, of course. So, whoa, okay, never mind. He does have a Roach Warren come down. Now, a lot of times you would have thought this would have been defensive Roach Warren, something like that. But more and more we've seen it being, we see players using Queens, Zerglings, minimal defense against Hellions. So the early Roach Warren like that is sometimes an indicator that they're wanting to put on a lot of pressure, especially now that we have gas number 2 coming up.
Well, it is a big map, but the running distance for this type of thing is actually fairly quick. So he can get over to the natural pretty quickly with a Roach Ling attack. So we'll see if that's maybe a possibility. Could add on a Baneling Nest as well with this if you wanted to. But either way, with the Hellion expand coming out for Netty right now, and the very low Marine count, as you can see, just that one bunker with 4 Marines in it, an attack like that from Delphi could do some pretty decent damage.
That's right, and we already do have a good number of Roaches hitting, 6 of them, as a matter of fact, and another command center coming up. So Netty is playing incredibly harass-oriented, but he's not going to have a ton of frontline offense against this, and Delphi is going to try and punish this very greedy build at the beginning of the game.
Yep, now here's the good thing, the good news for Terran fans out there. There is a tech lab going down that barracks and a starport right next to it, so we're probably going to see Banshees, and that's going to be a pretty good defense against that. But the question is, will they get out in time? You know, I mean, he's still going to need to burn through a lot of units, and I don't know if it's quite going to get there. I kind of would side on the no side for that. This is coming fast.
Fast and furious.
Furious. Got to wait for those banelings to morph in, but once they do, it's go time.
That's right. So, a supply depot wall attempted to be constructed, but it's not completely finished. Just 4 Hellions up at the front. Our first Cloak Banshee is popping out right now, and Hellions trying to test the waters. They see what's out there. The banelings are being morphed. The roaches are going to start putting on a little bit of pressure.
And here's the thing, man. I mean, if Cloak finishes, Delphi doesn't really have anything to deal with Cloak. He doesn't have an Evo Chamber or a Lair anytime soon. Here come the Banelings going right after the bunker.
My God!
He holds the Banelings. There we go, taking out the SCV, so the bunker does go down.
Oh, that was so close. I thought he was going to walk around for a second and let it live. So
he's got to count on those Cloak Banshees now. But once he sees that starport going, he should throw down an Evo Chamber right away. There it is, just to stay safe. Yeah, Delphi's going to be just fine, I think, in this case.
All right. Well, a few Hellions are still up. They've whittled down the numbers of roaches, or not roaches, of course, but the Zerglings pretty well. It's going to rely on the Banshee overhead to do most of the rest of the damage. There is about a 30 supply deficit for our Terran player right now.
Going after that tech lab. If he can cancel Cloak, that'll be really, really helpful.
No kidding. He needs to be
able
to repair
it in time, and he doesn't.
All right, so these 2 Banshees are going to be it as far as Banshees go until another tech lab is produced, and that does significantly set back Cloak technology, of course. So most of these Zerglings are going to go down. The roaches are finally going to get cleaned out. And the one thing that he has going for him, though, is that he is going to be able to clean this up, but he is still sitting on 3 orbital commands. So we'll be able to replenish his economy incredibly quickly.
Very true. And drones being made right now for Delphi as well. So he's like, all right, I think I did enough damage to actually be able to transition out of this all-in. I'm safe against your Banshees now. I've got, I think it was 4 Spore Crawlers he put down. He's got Queens as well. So all in all, he's going to be really safe. And yeah, look at that worker count. That's going to be a bit rough. Oh,
yeah, I'm waiting for these to hit. Bing, 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 bing. There goes the jackpot. So, yes. Wow. Oh, boy. God bless mules. Anyway, all right. So, one of the Banshees does go down. Really hasn't done that much damage quite yet. In fact, how many workers have been killed? 19-0. So, but 3 workers at a time are being produced, and with 6 mules and 30 workers, the economy for Netty is still going to be quite good. Now, he still has to find a way out of this, and it looks like it's going to be mech.
Nice.
As he is putting down a Raven already.
I think that's awesome because he knows that there's a good chance that his opponent is going to be kind of still focusing on rather roach-heavy aggression, possibly going into infestors from this, although there is a Spire, so it's not going to be infestors, it's going to be a Spire. But if you're making Thors, you're still going to be in pretty good shape against Mutalisks. So
that's right.
Netty has an opportunity. The only problem is you know, will he be able to pump out enough SCVs quick enough to really be able to do a mech build? You need a lot of workers. You need a great economy to do that. His mules have just run out.
Yes, the mules did run out, but he actually has enough to put down another 1, 2, 3,
look at all those
4,
SCVs
5 of them, actually.
Man.
Yeah.
All right.
He's got a heavy Q, but he's investing in his infrastructure. He couldn't make units anyway, so I suppose it's not that bad of a deal.
Yeah. 2 armories going down, too. I like this. He's just going right for mech. I mean, I don't even care if it's a good idea or not. He's going mech.
You're happy.
I like that. That's right.
Well, the situation is actually surprisingly becoming pretty good for Netty, I have to admit. His opponent still isn't on a 3rd base quite yet. Oh, there we go. Finally, there is one being started over on the left-hand side of the map. But still, the roaches are getting picked away by the Banshees through the air. Full supply depot wall up. Netty's got that Raven overhead. I mean, that's so useful in any sort of mech composition, but I love that players are a lot more willing to grab it now.
Yeah. And here's the thing, too. There are Mutalisks on the way, but there's also 2 Thors, right? He was able to save up and afford those, so against the Mutas, he should be in pretty good shape getting Blue Flame Hellions as well. And I don't know, you know, mech on Tal'Darim Altar in these positions is actually pretty good. If you can take that 3rd base, max out with 3/3 upgrades with mech, which is generally what you try to do when you go mech in TVZ on Tal'Darim Altar, he'll be okay. It produces a very, very strong push that Zergs have a hard time handling.
Well, the Banshee's patrolling across the map. Looks like there are spines and spores being put up at every outside expansion. And taking a look at things now, the first few Mutalisks are heading out.
Yeah.
And I don't believe there's an engineering bay. Yeah, one has to be started kind of as an emergency to be able to ward against these Mutalisks. A couple of the mules did go down. Whoa! But he sits under the splash fire of the javelin missiles.
I think he thought it was only one Thor, and he tried to just magic box it, which you can do with like 4 mutas, I think, but he miscalculated big time.
That's right. Spinecrawler's going to go down now. Oh, so does the Banshee. Yep. This Raven's hightailing it out of there, slow as it is.
Yeah, he's trying to get away. So these bases on this map are actually pretty easy to defend with mech, honestly, especially once you start adding some siege tanks in, which I think, we'll maybe see Netty do a little bit later. He could just be going for a Hellion Thor, which is a pretty effective composition, but if he gets a third, we're guaranteed to see some tanks as well with this. And so right now it's kind of all on Delphi to try to hinder the economy, try to shut this down as hard as he can.
That's right. The Thors are going to have to come back so the missile turrets can actually go up.
Yep.
And it looks like, he's going to try and shut down a couple of these missile turrets, but
nice.
Does get them. There we go. One goes down, another going to fall down here in a second, but at the same time, good number of Hellions making their way through, and he killed the Spinecrawler before, which actually makes this possible, and look how quickly those drones evaporate.
Yeah, I mean, Hellions are so mobile, so good on this map. This base is utterly useless now at this point. And if he wants to, he can just sit there and kill whatever comes out of those eggs, too. But yeah, here come the roaches. So he's going to try to run away. Oh, no, Netty, what are you doing?
Runs directly by them. Looks like he was a little more worried about the mutas that are circling back in. But, of course, there are missile turrets up now, and these mutas are actually pretty weak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I mentioned, I mean, it's just pretty easy to defend against mutas in this situation if you're going mech on this map. Yeah, you just get some turrets down. Usually a Thor in each base is generally all you need. And we might see him try to take a third pretty soon here. He's going to move out with this drop, but generally you do want to try to be maxed out on 3-3 on 3 bases, and that's kind of what Delphi's checking for here. He's like, all right, I know you want to take it soon. In fact, the Thors were moving out to take down the rocks as the mutas, or as the roaches rather, flew in, so... Roaches don't fly in.
No.
I just had a hard time saying that, didn't I?
That's okay. Oh, no. Medevac doesn't get down any of the Blue Flame Hellions. That's a pretty big loss for Netty. And Delphi will see if he's able to take advantage of that. Blue Flame Hellions making their way through, though, and they actually haven't killed a drone yet.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, here's the thing.
Wow.
I mean, there's one thing that can kind of be a death blow to mech on this map especially, and that's losing your Hellions early on. I mean, yeah, Hellions are a little bit disposable, but you still need to keep a pretty good amount, because when that last fight finally happens, you need a good damage buffer, and Hellions do that. The other thing, too, is that if they go like heavy Roach Ling against you or something, you need to be able to have enough Hellions to micro and take out the Banelings before they get to your units, too. So right now, the Hellion count a little bit low, but he should still be able to win this fight with the siege tanks, but he's going to lose some Thors here.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to lose one, but should be able to be fine with the rest.
Yeah.
So
turned out okay.
Roaches are going to make their way out of there, and Delphi just turns around and reproduces Zerglings and Roaches, so it's not like he's worried about freeing up supply, even though he is very close to max and did lose his max because of losing all those Roaches up at the front. But he's sitting pretty comfortably on 4 bases. Now, finally, Netty is going to be on his third, but if we're honest, that's just going to be 1.5 mining bases, basically.
Yeah, more or less. I think what Delphi needs to do, and it looks like he understands this, is try to get to Hive as fast as possible. Generally, Roaches don't work very well against mech unless you can get past that Hellion buffer and get like right up on top of the siege tanks. So I think we're going to see him go for Broodlords here pretty soon.
Right.
That's generally the best answer to it. But the last of the Hellions getting taken out, I guess, by the Thors. They're like, we don't even want to be in this game anymore.
Well, Mutalisks are gone. So let's see here now. Actually none on the field at all. Just 45 Roaches and a handful of Banelings for the time being.
Yep.
He wants to be able to crush through that Hellion buffer very, very quickly. So Delphi rolling his way out. This is, like we kind of mentioned before, really the only mining base for Netty. I mean, he's got a modicum of mining going on at his main and natural, but that's actually going to be gone within the next about minute in game.
Yep, and if he can micro those Hellions and kill some of those Banelings, that'll be a pretty good spot. And he does kill a couple of them, but he still needs to get more than that done, and we'll see if he kind of repositions some of his siege tanks. It looks like he will here. And the Banelings, are going to be actually better at soaking siege tanks damage than anything else, but here comes the army, kind of clumped up. I don't know if this is going to be enough. We'll see.
I don't know. Here we go. The Roaches are starting to roll their way in now. Tanks are repositioning themselves. A few units came from the front, but they really didn't do anything. Yep. 2 of the Thors have gone down. The siege tanks have inflicted quite a bit of splash damage, though, and it looks like, at least for the time being, Netty is going to be able to hold on, although it goes back to that old cliche, at what cost? Yeah,
exactly. I mean, he did hold, but he lost a lot of Thors, nearly all of his Thors. Now, imagine if he hadn't lost a lot of those Hellions early on, if he had like, you know, a dozen or maybe like 20 Hellions there to buffer, that attack would have done nothing. It's much easier to replace Hellions than Thors. He's going to have to spend a lot of money that he didn't want to. He's not going to be able to get his upgrades as quickly now at this point. So Netty in a really tough position. You really can't afford to lose units like this in Mech TVZ. He's not out of the game just yet, but his push timing is going to be really, really well pushed back, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
LOL.
LOL. Well, a couple of auto turrets down for now, as that's basically all that that was supposed to happen. So, and we've just been informed that Netty is actually the player Otter, so playing under a different tag. So we want to go ahead and retract that. We'll mention that here through the rest of the cast. But Delphi making his way in with a lot of roaches now. The Thors are falling apart immediately. A lot of the production starting to be camped. Now he's going to go after some of those factories. But, you know, not a lot. I mean, he needs to be able to get those add-ons, yes, but he is losing a lot of roaches to get that done.
Yep, I mean, it's all about slowing down the Terran army, and Delphi's doing a pretty good job of doing that right now. He checks the armories. He could try to focus those down as well. They're not even building right now, and he's going to get at least one here, it looks like, and that's going to help quite a bit as well. You can see the Greater Spire coming out, too. And this is actually really good by Delphi. He was playing this exactly like he should, and he barely won't be able to get that armory. But here's the thing. I mean, he's got Corruptors on the way. They're going to finish right when the Greater Spire finishes. Perfect timing. More harassment with these roaches. Netty's never going to be able, or Netty or Otter, whoever he is never going to be able to move across the map.
That's right.
That's it. He's going to be stuck in his base for the rest of the game.
That's right. So, well, let's go ahead and take a look here exactly what Otter. I'm sorry, it's going to be hard for me to break that. I apologize. Yeah. What Otter can do. He does have a fair number of Hellions coming up. He had a massive mineral bank, but that was pretty much it. His anti-air is nil. It's one Thor, and there are 5 Broodlords on the way.
Now the question is, are Otter and Netty the same player?
They could very well be. I'm not sure. So we'll find out certainly during the break and let people know. We've just been passed a note from our producer. So,
yep. But anyway, we've got Hellions coming in to try to do some damage here. They might be able to kill some drones, but at this point, honestly, like, killing drones isn't really going to hurt Delphi all that much. He's going to be able to just make another wave of drones and know that his opponent can't attack him. And the Broodlords are going to finish this up really quickly. I mean, it's a really, really tough situation. It's like the worst feeling in the world to be a meching Terran in TVZ and be like, oh no, I've got like no army. It's to the point where my Hellions really aren't going to do too much good, but I've still got to try something, right?
Right.
And if by some miracle he's able to max out, able to get those upgrades going again, he's still got a bit of a chance, but things are just looking really, really dark right now for our Terran player.
All right. Well, taking a look at things, he's got five on this gas. He's only got 2 on this one, but you know, this whole game he's just seemed a little bit rattled after that Roach bailing all in. And Roach bailing pressure at the beginning, I should say, he did enough economic damage that did become an all-in. So,
well, yep, trying to do some more damage with his Hellions, and he is killing a decent amount of drones. But you know, it's like I mentioned, there's nothing at all to stop Delphi from just making another round of drones. You know, he's got enough units that he's not worried about a push. You know, he knows that Netty can't move out on the map yet, but. I was going to say something, but I completely forgot what it was. I don't know. Oh, well, whatever.
That's quite all right.
Attacks coming now.
Broodlords.
Lots of Broodlords.
Things. Attacks. Yep. Big units.
Some roaches, some infestors. Yeah, the thing I wanted to mention, too, is it really comes back to, in a lot of ways, losing a lot of those Hellions early on and not having them when you really needed them to defend against that roach push. That's kind of the catalyst that sort of pushed it into a really bad situation for Netty when he lost all those Thors and some tanks to that push.
And looks like Delphi's going to start pushing his way through this missile turret line, just start setting the siege line back a little bit. Not that many Corruptors in the area. He's going to have to rely a lot on Infestors. Not the best control there, unfortunately. Delphi losing a couple of units. Corruptors being sent to the front, but they're actually being dispatched of pretty quickly here. He's really got to watch out for that control. These tanks are probably going to have to unsiege as soon as they do, and maybe the queue for the ground army to start making its way in. Yeah. Thor's actually prioritizing ground units rather than the air things. Yep. But the Broodlord numbers are starting to get whittled down, I have to say. These Thors are actually pushing back the Broodlords.
I mean, he moved out before he really had enough Corruptors to take this on. So a bit of a mistake there, but from Delphi. Question now is, you know, has he just gotten too much of an economy to lose here? Will he be able to just remake things fast enough?
I don't know, man. That was a big mistake.
Yeah, he really kind of he made a big error there, unfortunately. He's losing some more drones here. He still should have a good amount of workers, excuse me, but big mistake not having enough Corruptors to handle those Vikings, since it really wasn't very many Vikings. It was only like 2 or 3 at the time.
Exactly, but Netty is certainly going to need some more mining here in just a second, as his economy is virtually nil.
Yeah.
But he is moving everything up to into an expansion here in the top right-hand corner. Well, let's take a look at the worker count. 61 to 67. Supplies are almost equal. Those Broodlords are really delayed once again. All of a sudden, I'm going to admit, things do not look all that bad for Netty.
I can't believe it. I mean, he's basically, and he was able to move a command center over to that base, get a 4th up and running.
Yeah.
Still trying to do some aggression with these Hellions, and I really got to hand it for him to try to do everything he can, even though he was in that bad spot. Because, and this is why, you don't GG out of games that are looking really bad, because you never know when your opponent is going to do an attack like that and then kind of mess things up a little bit and give you that chance.
Well, let's see here now. How many Thors are on the field in total? Okay, this 8 is everything. They're being repaired up right now. Certainly very useful. 6 Vikings out there as well. So the continued Broodlords are actually not going to be all that effective, especially because there's not a lot of tanks that deal out splash damage to their own units now, so they're not dead weight. And I like the inclusion of starting to throw in some Banshees on top of this as well, especially if he's able to wrest control from the air.
Yep, that'll be good for sniping infestors, drawing fungal growths, and things like that. He's actually got more workers. Wow, I mean, it's not really helping him because they're all on one base at the moment, but he has caught up in supply. I can't believe it.
This is insane.
With the way the early game went, most Terran players really should be dead right now. This is a pretty bizarre game.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I mean, neither player out of it yet. I think we've kind of hit the reset button on this one.
All right. Well, let's see what the upgrades are at. That's certainly going to be very telling. 3-2 right now for the ground units of our Zerg player, and 2-3 up for the mech units for Netty. So, interesting. This is weird.
Yeah. Still trying to kill off some drones with the Hellions.
Yep.
Not a lot of drones there anyway, but he will kill pretty much everything.
Yeah, so I think it's up like 10 workers overall. And that's actually continuing to climb, as we can see. He's actually caught up and surpassed the amount of workers killed in this game.
Yeah.
Oh, Roaches, though, going to shut down this base, and that is pretty devastating for Netty. Of course, he was oversaturated there, so the worker losses don't really matter. Just more having that mining denied for quite a long period of time does.
I mean, it was that base that was definitely keeping him in the game. It allowed him to get to this point. And he's got a lot of Thors now, and he's still making 3 more at once. How many Thors does he have out?
11. He's going to have 14.
Yeah, he'll have 14 Thors, and that's a large amount of Thors, man. That's pretty scary.
Yeah, no kidding. So Roaches, though, going to be shot down as they try to make their way off to the right. He's maxed. He's on 195 supply.
Yeah,
and
he's got 3-3. Now's the time.
And Delphi's trying to put on an additional few infestors, but, this base has been kind of quasi-mining the entire game. Looks like the Hellions are going to try and swing their way back through now. A few Roaches trying to push through and do yet more economic damage, but they're just clearing up the excess amount of workers that were sitting on the refinery to begin with.
Yep, more or less. I mean, he knows that he needs to hit Netty in the gas department because that's going to be what most of his units are going to be using a lot of. But the Roaches, not doing a whole lot, and he has the Hellion kills have started to add up, right? I mean, he's lost enough drones that he's really not getting a whole lot of mining done. He's not able to remax quite as quickly. His money is so low because he's spending it all on Corruptors and Broodlords and Infestors, so he doesn't really have a lot of damage buffer in terms of Roaches or Zerglings. So, as crazy as it is, our Terran player is actually in a pretty good spot right now.
Yes, he is. And Delphi could stand to redistribute some of his drones as well. And it looks like he wants to force the engagement. Oh, he does get a lot of his Vikings fungled. So we'll see if the anti-air is going to be good enough. But he is making his way through the Corruptors pretty efficiently. Looks like a couple more are going to go down here. But all of the Viking count has been reduced to rubble. So we'll see if the Broodlords are going to be enough. They were actually being prioritized by most of the Thors, not the anti-air. It didn't really matter to him if he lost the Vikings. He just wanted to whittle down those Broodlord numbers, and he has successfully done that. There are still 12 Thors out, and believe it or not, Thors are starting to win the fight against these Broodlords.
I know. I mean, you usually see a lot of mech armies with like 6 Thors, 8 Thors, or whatever, but 12 Thors, yeah, that can actually take on Broodlords. So
wow,
we have got Netty in a position to potentially win this game. The supply is still very, very even right now for both players, but I just don't know if Delphi can produce anything to stop that amount of Thors.
What is this? I don't
know what this game is, man. This is a little bit crazy.
I guess so, and it looks like Netty may just have what it takes to keep pushing through scans. There's the GG. Netty has come back and won.
Wow.
Okay, it's now 4-2, and Dream Team Gaming is just one game away from advancing.